A news media site has accused Uber of manipulating surge, therefore screwing both drivers and passengers. And Uber's shocking, or maybe not so shocking, response are all to be discussed in this video. Stay tuned, it's going to be a fun one. However, before we talk about any of that, let's have a word from our sponsors.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, I'm Jonathan with gigworker.com, and we've been commissioned to conduct a survey by an insurance company that's getting ready to put out a new insurance product specifically for Uber and Lyft drivers. But they want to get some information from drivers that will help them tweak the insurance so it really fits our needs. So I wanted to invite you to participate in the survey because they're going to use your answers to help them design the cheapest Uber and Lyft insurance available. Not only will it be cheaper, but it will cover a lot more, like lost wages when you can't work because your car is in the shop. Think about that. So if you're an Uber or Lyft driver, would you take about 5 minutes to complete the survey? Kevin said he'll leave a link down below in the description. If you could click on that at the end of the video, that would be great.
Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and I hope you'll forgive me for showing the ad first. I know it's kind of annoying to have an ad within an ad. However, I felt with this video you would not want any interruptions, so hopefully you'll forgive me on that one. Anyway, we have talked a lot about Uber and their upfront surge pricing scam. Make no mistake, I consider this to be theft. I consider it to be theft on the driver who does all the work and deserves at least 80% of the fare. Bare minimum, 75%. He should not be having 40, 50, and in some cases 75% of the fare taken away. As many of you send me these screenshots, I think it's highway robbery. I also believe it is theft on the passenger side. The passenger, yes, they are told what they are going to pay up front, and they pay it willingly. That said, they think most of that money is going towards the driver. In fact, when they see that a ride is going to cost $143, they think, hey, that's a good deal for the driver. They get, 70% of that? Like, we'll just, we don't have to tip them or anything. They don't realize the driver is making $50, sometimes less. So either way, Uber is price gouging the passengers, stealing from the drivers. That's my position. It has always been my position. It is my position as a shareholder of Uber. And I think Uber should stop this. As a company, a legitimate business, they should be making money honestly, not by thievery. However, I don't know. Maybe I'm just an honest shareholder. Well, I'm not the only one who has noted this. Jalopnik has also noticed this. And you see this article written by Aaron Gordon and Dhruv Malhotra. Sorry, I screwed that up. I know I did. That person, I apologize. Anyway, I haven't spoken to Dhruv. However, Aaron, I have actually been in contact with. I sent one email. I sent him a video. He actually asked about a month ago for people to send him screenshots of your receipts. Find out how much is Uber taking out. And I made a video, which people point out was old news. And yes, of course it was old news. I was making it for Aaron, where I showed a lot of the driver theft on the receipts. And I sent it to him. He thanked me for the video. I don't know if he's actually going to use it. However, I figured this would, help him get a start. I have heard that he has since gotten many other receipts. And while he has not written the bombshell article that shows to the world how much Uber is taking from your earnings and the passenger's money, he has written this co-article with Dhruv. I'm sorry if I'm messing that up. I really am. Well, here's what they write. Uber changed how its surge pricing works last year. Not for riders, but for drivers. The changes have resulted in drivers earning less from surge pricing, but riders are still paying the same inflated costs, with Uber pocketing the difference. We had heard from drivers that this was a big blow to their already precarious income. So a little over a month ago, we asked Uber drivers to send us screenshots of their surge fares to find out the extent of this pay cut. We received hundreds of responses, many of which included missives of desperation and anger at the unilateral price change from the ride-hailing giant, as well as pity for riders who are, as one driver from Phoenix put it, subject to egregious price gouging. Egregious price gouging. That I would agree with that term. Surge pricing goes into effect when Uber's... Well, anyway, we know this. So, several dozen drivers interviewed for this story nearly unanimously confirmed the 50-50 split as typical during surge periods under the new structure. And here's the thing. We are going to now look at Uber's response. And you know what? For Uber's response, I am going to read this and I'm going to drink this Coke and I'm sure nothing will go... No, I'm not going to do that because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to spit it out in shock and disgust because this is what their response is. Given millions of trips take place every day in the U.S., 175 ride receipts is not a meaningful sample size, and a 47-53 split is simply not representative of what we currently see on our platform. I tell you, sometimes I wish I drank alcohol. Let's finish the article before we talk about that. Uber is right that 175 fares is not a meaningful sample considering the scope of the company's business. But Uber refused to make anyone from the company available for an interview to discuss in detail how the new pricing model works, share any raw fare data with Jalopnik, or provide any further information on the company's take rate beyond what it discloses to regulators, which indicates a take rate closer to 20%. So we want to collect more fare data, much more. That's why we are launching fares.jalopnik.com. We want to learn more about how Uber and Lyft, the latter of which was not part of our initial investigation but has since made similar changes to prime time as Uber did to surge pricing, split their revenue with their workers. Using a quick form at fares.jalopnik.com, drivers can anonymously submit information about recent fares, including how much the rider paid, how much the driver got paid, and how much the company pocketed. We will then use that information to dig deeper into Uber and Lyft's rate cut, or take rate. Yeah. The form does not ask for any personal information, and it asks drivers to round amounts to the nearest dollar to anonymize each fare. However, we do require each fare be accompanied by a screenshot to verify the information. After verification, the screenshot will then be deleted. Drivers can read more about how we protect their privacy by going to fares.jalopnik.com and clicking on About in the upper right corner. These changes to surge pricing is just the latest example of the ride-hail giants worth a combined $90 billion on the stock market, as is writing, unilaterally changing their pricing structure, a practice that underscores the inequities of the industry. So, here's what it says. Under current U.S. law, drivers are unable to collectively bargain because they're technically independent contractors, not employees. That's going to change very soon, I think. But they are also unable to set their own prices, unlike independent contractors in nearly any other industry. This is true. This is what I've been saying for a long time. The dynamic was perhaps best captured by a Utah driver posting in an Uber forum, as quoted by researcher Alex Rosenblatt in her book Uberland, How Algorithms Are Rewriting the Rules of Work. Quote, "This is the scam Uber's playing, calling us contractors when we're obviously not. If you're a painting contractor, do you accept a job without knowing what it is or how much it pays? Of course not. But this is exactly what Uber is doing to us. Like telling the painting contractor you have a job for him, but he has to accept it before he knows what it is, paint the whole house for $50, and you, the contractor, have to supply the paint. You'd tell them to go pound sand. The paint alone costs more than $50. Then the painting contractor is told he already accepted the job, and if he cancels, he'll never work in this town again." Although Uber and Lyft have often tinkered with their respective pricing algorithms, the change to how surge pricing works is particularly noteworthy because it undercuts the logic both companies have used to justify the controversial feature. The entire idea of surge pricing is that the free market principles of supply and demand could be harnessed in a dynamic pricing model to better serve both riders and drivers. By letting an algorithm determine when demand far exceeds supply, the logic went, Uber could incentivize additional drivers to work by raising prices while similarly dissuading price-sensitive customers from booking rides to reach market equilibrium. The higher prices riders would be passed on to drivers in the form of higher earnings. Although consumers loathe the feature, which was often equated with price gouging, economists love it. And while drivers had their frustration with chasing the surge only for it to disappear, they often relied on the significantly higher pay it offered, particularly during high multipliers or long surge rides, to compensate for the otherwise poor compensation of ride-hailing drive. Surge is, by the way, the sole reason I drove on New Year's Eve. But now under the new, well, anyway, we know all this. Sometimes Uber will kick a couple of bucks to the driver on longer, most expensive surge trips, but the algorithm logic behind the additional pay is, can't pronounce that word, I'm sorry, and it still pales in comparison to what drivers used to make under the old model. For their part, drivers who ask Uber for more information on how pricing works are typically told any pricing algorithm information is proprietary by customer support or representatives at driver support centers, or given the runaround by support personnel of the app. So, yeah, and here's the discussion, people. So here's the main thing I want to talk about. The main thing. First of all, the spokesperson clearly refused to talk to them. They did. And why would they? Because this is something you can't defend. I mean, for a while, people did defend this, and I might even get some of these comments in the section below just because I'm mentioning this. However, for a while, there were comments that were made along the lines of, Uber is not scamming me. They offer to pay me a set rate. They pay me that rate. Therefore, they're not price gouging me. And I think I don't hear that argument anymore because the more time goes by and the more Uber and Lyft take, the more foolish it sounds. The more people realize, no, that is my money. That's my time. Hey, you know what? I might have even been willing to let 40% go, but once you start taking 75% of the fare, where I take an hour-long fare and I'm making $30, and I know that Uber's making well over 100, no, something's wrong. So there is no defending this, and they just don't want to talk about it. They will not talk about it. Now, here's the other thing that's nice about this. Well, okay, I got to get back to the Uber spokesperson for a second. I think it's interesting that they say, 175 rides is not enough of a sample pool. Well, okay, Jalopnik's going to create a site. What if they get 10,000 rides? What if they get 20,000? What if they get 50,000 rides? What if they get a high number of rides and, like, say, more than 50% of the rides that they get are, heck, maybe not even more. What if, like, all the rides are more than 50%? Let's say half the rides are. Well, is that representative then? I mean, the fact that you have any rides at all that is going well above the 25% that you write in your contract you're going to take out, well, that's a problem. Now, granted, it's worded trick. Someone shot off a cherry bomb there. I don't know if you could hear that, but that was kind of scary. So, I don't know if Uber writes this tricky in their user agreement, because Uber basically has the surge, the upfront pricing. They have it under a different payment. They offer you a set rate, and then they take 20% off that rate. So whatever is above the rate that they charge, that's their money. That's just what they're going to take. So they're not only paying you a paltry fee, a paltry fare for driving people around, but they are taking 20% of that. That's what their contract is referring to, not the fare itself. And yet, the way they talk, the way they argue this with Congress, the way they argue this with the public, hey, this is the fare, we take 25, and they get 75. That's how they argue it. They don't tell people, but by the way, we're charging extra money on top of that fare, so it's sick. Anyway, here's the thing. Faresjalopnik.com. Let's take a look at this site real quick. I actually haven't looked at this. So, which company is the fare from? Let's say Uber. Is this a surge or primetime fare? Yes. Is this a fare from one of the following cities? New York City. Let's say no. Now, I'm not going to submit this, by the way, before anyone freaks out, because I want to be honest about this. So, let's say $123. How much did you get? Actually, I don't have to go through all of this. How much did you get paid? How much did Uber and Lyft receive? If Uber and Lyft lost money on the fare negative value, put a value of 0 in the question above and tell us how much they lost here. Otherwise, skip this question. Please upload a screenshot of your receipt. Submit, enter. So I'm not going to submit anything right now. However, here's one of the things I will do, because I have accumulated a lot of these receipts. So I am going to send whatever receipts I have to Jalopnik. In fact, we might even make that a live stream. We might even just make it a live stream where I am putting down the fares that you folks have sent me, and we will submit them, and we will share the screenshots with them. I'm personally going to keep the screenshots. Like Jalopnik says they're going to delete the screenshots. I think that's a mistake. I think you should save the screenshots, because Uber and Lyft are going to contest this. They are going to say, hey, where are the screenshots? And you don't have them anymore. And you can alter the screenshots to remove names. I do it all the time. So if you want, share your fares with Jalopnik. You can also continue to share them with me, by the way. I do plan to continue making videos sharing these fares until someone at Uber and Lyft, or maybe even the public, realizes exactly what's going on. But good on Jalopnik for calling Uber and Lyft out. Good on them for expanding. They have not shared any of the fares that they got, and I believe it's because Aaron particularly wants to get them. He wants to get them. So he's going to gather as much as he can, and then he's going to, I believe, write a bombshell article, and hopefully it will catch fire and people will realize exactly what it is these companies are doing. In the meantime, if you're driving still, continue to compare prices. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave it off. What do you folks think about this? Are you happy that Jalopnik is doing this? Are you going to share your fares with them? Are you going to continue to share them with me? What do you think? Do you hope that they get them? Do you think the public will take an article by this site seriously if they get, like, what's the number you think they need to get for the public to take it seriously? 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000? How many rides do you think they need to get? And do you think it's a mistake for them to delete receipts? I'd love to know. So comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, if gas prices are getting you just a little down these days, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, and you get cash back on every gas purchase. And if you want more content from me, check out Kevin T. Rodriguez and the Apptrepreneur Vlogs channel. Different from what we do here, but probably still entertaining. And finally, if you want to talk to me or other fellow rideshare drivers, check us out at Facebook at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.